Om Sai Ram. I offer my humble and loving pranams at the lotus feet of my dearest Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Dearest elders, brothers and sisters, Jai Sai Ram. We pray you are all keeping well with Swami's blessings and grace. Welcome to another enlightening session of Sai Karuna Talks. This week, we are very blessed to be joined by Sri Prem Anosh. Sri Prem Anosh completed his schooling at Chennai before joining the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning at Brindavan in 1999, receiving a BSc degree in chemistry. He also had his first darshan of Bhagwan in 1999. After graduation, Prem completed further studies at the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning in Prasanthi Nilayam and received the master's degree in chemistry in 2004. He has been part of the Radio Sai team since July 2011, where he hosts live shows and is part of the website team. Sri Anush is one of the regular speakers at the Satsang Hall in Prasanthi Nilayam. Dearest brothers and sisters, let us welcome Sri Prem Anosh. Jai Saram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my most loving pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. I pray to Swami that he gives us all the understanding, that it is Swami who speaks and it is Swami who listens to each one of us. Elders, brothers and sisters, Sai Ram to all of you. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for that introduction, sister. And it was mentioned that I had my first darshan in 1999. And it so happens that it was on this very day in 1999, it was 31st of May, when I came to Vrindavan to join the college. That was the first time. So I'm delighted to be joining all of you and having this opportunity to think of Swami on this day, which is understandably very special for me. It's wonderful that we're all able to join in satsang like this, but probably I should tell you that my talk today is going to be slightly different from the ones that you heard before. The wonderful speakers that you had have all shared their personal experience and the learning that they've gathered from those experiences that they've had. My talk is going to be about experiences of others and the learning that there is for you and me. So in that sense, I'm closer to the audience than being a speaker who is going to share something that probably you all don't know. I'm sure there are many elders in the audience, people much more learned than me, people with a far profound understanding of Swami and Swami's message than me. So this is going to be only a session where I'm going to share some things that is in the top of my mind, and let's hopefully we resonate with that and it makes us think more of Swami. I think that's the point of any satsang. All these satsangs that we're having, the situation that we're all in, thanks to the pandemic, it's all brought us close to each other in satsang. I'm reminded of a very beautiful Chinnakatha that I'd read some time back. It's in one of the discourses that Swami gave during the summer courses in the early 70s. The typical Chinnakatha of Swami, a very simple story, but a very profound message. The story goes that there is this traditional doctor in a village, someone like, we call him a Vaidya, right? It's not like an MBBS or a FRCS doctor, but a traditional Ayurvedic doctor in a village. So one day he was sitting in his house and he was probably making some medicine, where he saw this very strange looking woman walking into the village. And those were the days when you would know everybody in the village. There were strangers there, right? So he found this very beautifully decked divine-looking lady walking into the village whom he had never seen before. So he went up to her, he accosted her, and he asked her, "Amma, I've never seen you here before. Who are you? Where are you coming from?" And she says that, "I am the goddess of cholera." And the doctor looks at her and says, "Oh, is that so? So why are you coming into our village? You know, what is the agenda?" And she says that, "I have a list of people that I'm supposed to take," meaning that there are a few people who are supposed to succumb to this disease, to this epidemic of cholera, and I've come to take those whose names are in my list. So the doctor, the doctor gets very cozy with her and invites her home and gives her a cup of coffee. That's how Swami says. So he offers her a cup of coffee and starts a friendly chat. And he asks her, "So how many people are going to be taken down by you in this visit of yours?" So she says that, "I have about 150 names. So there are about 150 people I'll have to take along with me." So the doctor finishes his chat with her and she proceeds on her way. Sometime later, the village headman, the panchayat headman, he comes to this doctor and he says that, "You'll have to make a document which we will have to give to the government officials." And he says that you have to make a document that 250 people have died because of this epidemic that has struck our village. So this doctor thinks that, even the goddess of cholera did not keep her word. She told me that she's going to take only 150 people, and it seems like 250 people have succumbed to the disease. So he waits for her because he knows that she's going to come out of the village sometime. So on the day when she's going out of the village, he again accosts her and says that, "Why didn't you keep your word? You told me that you're going to take only 150 lives." So Swami says that this goddess of cholera tells the doctor that, "I kept my word. I took only 150 lives. The 100 other people who died out of fear of cholera, not out of cholera." And Swami would say this, and it's a very beautiful story. In the present situation that we are all in, it really is, I find the story very profound. If our time has come and if Swami wills that our earthly sojourn in this body has to end, so be it. But if we are going to give ourselves up to the fear of the pandemic, then we probably are going to be victims of the fear rather than victims of the pandemic, right? There's another beautiful analogy that Swami would often narrate. I've not heard Swami narrate it many times, but I've heard it as a student. Swami would say there's this one particular moth or a butterfly or whatever it is, I don't know, or a beetle, where from the caterpillar stage, when it is transforming into this stage of this butterfly or a moth or whatever it is, it builds this cocoon around itself. And Swami would say the other moths which have finished transforming, they would come and attack this cocoon. And this caterpillar inside, it's all the time scared about this moth coming and attacking it. Uh, and in the fear, Swami says that it constantly keeps thinking about this moth and it eventually becomes the moth. How fortunate we all are that when there is trouble around us, when there is fear gripping the society, we all are cocooned in our homes, but Swami is allowing us to think of him more than think of anything else. Swami is giving us this opportunity to sit where we are and join sessions such as this, giving people like me the opportunity to join you all in sessions like this. How really fortunate we all are. In a sense, if we believe that whatever is there around the world, whatever we see, is nothing but a form of Swami, right? That's what the Vedas declare. Whatever you see, whatever is seen in the world, whatever is unseen, everything is nothing but a form of God. So if we think of nothing but God, if we, even in fear, even in worry, if we are only thinking of Swami, we are all cocooned in our lives, and slowly and surely we're all transforming into Swami, right? That's the goal of life itself. So we all are really fortunate, and on behalf of all of us, I place my humble gratitude at Swami's feet for giving us this opportunity, because without him willing, you cannot even have a fleeting thought of Swami. These are Swami's own words. So if we are able to sit and think of him, and my endeavor would be to aid in this process of all of us sitting and thinking about Swami for the next 1 hour or so. If that happens, it happens not because of the speaker, it happens not because of the listener, it happens because Swami has willed it so. So let's pray to Swami that he gives us that opportunity. Whatever we pursue in life, be it wealth, position, be it an object, a house, a car, or somebody whom we love, a beloved, a relationship, whatever we pursue, whatever we go after in life, we pursue it only when there is some kind of a utility for that object or person or event in our life. If there is no utility, I don't think we'll go after anything, right? We might fancy some things, we might not have a utility for them, we might fancy them, but even then we are imagining that in some way that object or that event will better my life. We do not pursue anything which does not have a purpose in our life. That purpose may be trivial, that purpose may be profound, but we do not pursue anything which does not have a certain utility or purpose in our life. There is this very beautiful conversation in the Upanishads, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, to be more precise, between this great sage Yajnavalkya and his equally wise wife, Maitri, where Yajnavalkya tells this very profound statement. It's actually common sense. He says, you don't love gold for the sake of gold. You don't love wealth for the sake of wealth. You love gold or wealth or anything for that matter because you love yourself. I love myself and I would like to see myself richer. I love myself. I would like to see myself in a more luxurious house. I love myself. I would like to see myself driving a luxurious car. It's not that I love the car or I love the object or I love gold for that matter. I only love myself. And as an extension of that, he says, a husband does not love his wife, he only loves himself. A wife does not love her husband, she only loves herself. And this is a very profound statement, but it is also common sense if we were to sit and think for ourselves. So we do not pursue anything, any person, any relationship, any goal, if we do not see a certain purpose for that in our own life. In the same manner, we also pursue Swami because we envision some utility or purpose that Swami can play in our life. I know this might sound a little gross, and some of us might want to contest this idea. We all love Swami, right? It's not that we have some use for Swami, and so we all come to the center or we all come from satsang. We all love Swami, don't we? But even in that, we have a certain purpose for Swami, or we see that Swami can be purposeful in a certain manner in our life, and that is why we all pursue Swami. And this could be anything, right? And we all know Swami says that you could categorize the devotees in different ways based on that. There's an arthi, artharthi, jignasu, somebody who comes to Swami for the sake when in trouble, right? An arthi is somebody who's having some kind of a trouble, some kind of a situation in life. They want the support of someone whom they can trust, someone whom they can fall upon, and so they come to Swami. Similarly, there's somebody who wants to just improve their lot, somebody who wants to become richer, it's an artharthi. Or some of us who probably have a certain idea of life being larger than what it appears to life, and we want to have answers to some profound questions that we might have, some intense questions that we might have, and those become jignasas, right? In any what way you might look at it, we all come to Swami, we all turn to Swami because we have a certain utility or purpose for Swami in our life. I wouldn't say there's something wrong with this. I'm not saying that this is not how you should come to Swami. If you ask me, be whatever be the reason, if you turn to Swami, I think it's good. Instead of asking the whole world, instead of asking everybody else, asking Swami what is wrong in that, right? So whatever, if the situation turns you towards Swami, I think it's a good thing. It's a blessing in disguise. There's this very beautiful story that I read in a book. Uh, we have met this devotee. This devotee came to Swami in the early 1940s, one of the earliest devotees to come to Swami, and he was narrating this incident about another couple, not about himself. So this couple were from a town in South India called Kadalur. Some of you are familiar with South India would know. It's a very famous coastal town. It's very close to the town of Pondicherry, right? So this couple came from Kadalur and they had a lot of debts that they had to settle, and there was no way they had the means to settle all of these debts. I think they were having some problems in their business and they had no money to settle all of this. So they had debtors who were troubling them, were chasing them. So in all of this, they were just looking for some kind of succor, somebody who could help them out of this. And I think around that time, somebody told them about Swami, and they said, there is this Swami, why don't you go to him? So this couple came to Puttaparthi and they prayed to Swami, they put forth their problems to Swami, and they also invited Swami to the city of Kadalur. So they said, Swami, you should come with us. So they had also, I think, brought a car with them. They drove down to Puttaparthi. That's a big thing in the 1940s to own a car. So they were otherwise wealthy people who probably had fallen into bad ways or bad times. So they came to Swami and they invited Swami. Swami agreed to go with them. So Swami went to their home, and in their house, they performed Pada Puja for Swami. They worshipped Swami's feet in the ritualistic way. And at the end of it, Swami tapped the floor in their puja room, right? Just tapped the floor, and in front of their eyes, apparently, this is what is recorded by that couple themselves, a pot of gold appeared, a pot of gold coins, a bronze pot full of gold coins. Imagine if you're in the middle of deep financial trouble, that's probably the best gift that Swami could give you, right? So Swami taps the floor, a bronze pot filled with gold coins appear, and they are extremely grateful. But then Swami plays a game. Swami says, okay, now you have this is for you. Now let's go back to Puttaparthi, right? So Swami gives them this pot of gold, but immediately makes them lock up their house and return to Puttaparthi with Swami. And imagine this couple, their mind is split between Swami and Puttaparthi and the pot of gold back in their house. So they are in Puttaparthi. Every now and then they come and ask Swami, Swami, can we go back home? Swami says, no, no, stay for some more time, right? So these people are very restless. They want to go back. They want to get that pot of gold, probably settle all their debts. They wait and wait. 2 weeks go by, and there is no sign of Swami giving them the permission to leave. One fine day, the couple decide that they waited enough, and without informing Swami, they return to their hometown. So with a lot of trepidation, they go to their home, they open the door, they rush to the puja room where Swami had left the pot of gold. They open it, and to their delight, they find the pot of gold there. It has not vanished. They greedily rush up to that pot of gold, but the moment they touch it, it vanishes. They come to Swami with a lot of problems. Why did they come to Swami? Because they found, or they felt, or they had the faith, or they had the intuition that this Swami could solve this problem that is pulling them down. So that's the utility they saw for Swami in their life. But blinded by their idea of what Swami was meant to be in their life, this simple common sense, right? This Swami who could give them a pot of gold, is definitely much, much more worthwhile or valuable, not worthwhile, much, much more valuable than any number of such pots, isn't it? But because their vision was so narrow, they were so blinded, they found that this was the utility that we had for Swami, and he has served it. Now let's go back, right? That's how messed up the mind can be when your thinking is not clear. And needless to say, they rushed back to Swami, and when they came back to Swami, Swami wouldn't speak to them. I don't know if they ever came back to Swami, or probably they didn't. Because there were many, many devotees in that time who came to Swami for a certain cure, who had a certain problem. Swami solved it, and they went back never to return. It's really surprising. I've come across a couple of people like that. Uh, when we are traveling or when we are in a journey, we happen to mention that we come from Puttaparthi, and they immediately say, "Oh, you're from Puttaparthi. I've also come there." And when they narrate their story, it's surprising that they come with a problem, Swami solves the problem, and they leave never to come back again. Because their idea of what Swami's purpose is in their life was limited to that problem that they came to Swami with. There is this very beautiful account of how Professor Kasturi comes to Swami, right? When he first came to Swami, he writes openly in his book, The Loving God. Many of you must have read it yourself, that there is this very suitable boy for his daughter that he's interested in getting his daughter married to. But the family is actually pretty affluent. The status of the family is way higher than that of Professor Kasturi at that time. So he was feeling that there's no way that the boy's father would accept an alliance. And in fact, even when he kind of suggested that to the father of that bridegroom, the father said, "Oh, I will find a good boy for your daughter." So kind of he knew that that's out of his league. And then it so happens that Swami comes in the dream of that person. His name is Putti Iyer. Putti means the short one. That's how Swami used to call him. So Swami comes in the dream of this Putti Iyer, and Swami tells him, "You know what? Why are you looking for another boy for Kasturi's daughter? Why don't you give your own boy?" And that's how Swami answers Professor Kasturi's prayer even before he places it before Swami. And Professor Kasturi would narrate about this incident later. He said that he was quite interested. He was not a devotee till then. He said, "Oh, this Baba seems to be quite useful." That's what he says. This Baba is quite useful, and he's worth cultivating. That's the word he uses. This Baba is worth cultivating. And that's where his journey starts, and we know what a what a beautiful soul, what a beautiful devotee he became, what an example he became for all of us. But many of us come to Swami for that. We feel that Swami is useful and Swami is worth cultivating, so to say, right? But whatever be the reason, artha, jignasu, health, wealth, problem, promotion, I don't have children, my children are not well, my children has an ailment, a child has an ailment, whatever be the specifics of the problem that we come to Swami with, if I were to underline the basic problem or the basic reason why we come to Swami, it's because we want to be happy, right? The word in Sanskrit for that is sukha. Sukha is a very, very all-encompassing term. It's not merely happiness, right? Swami would say, when he says happiness, Swami would say that happiness does not mean you all the time keep laughing, ha 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 ha. That's not the kind of happiness that we're talking about. Sukha means to be at peace with yourself, right? When we chant Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, or like how we chant it now, Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu, we are praying for sukha for all the beings. It doesn't mean that everybody should be excited and laughing all the time. It means everybody should be happy and contented in their life, right? It's a term that covers from small or gentle peace of mind, right? You're just peaceful, nothing is going awry in your life, and you're just happy with the way your life is going. From that state to the state of ecstasy or ananda. All of that is covered in the sukha, right? So Swami says that whatever be what we are seeking, finally it comes down to we are seeking for this happiness. And that's why Swami would say this. If you, Swami would use this phrase, it's like a definition of man. Swami would say, Manavudu Ananda Pipasi. That's the phrase in Telugu that Swami would use. Manavudu Ananda Pipasi. Man is a being that always thirsts for God, right? So that is what leads us in this life. Whatever we pursue, we are actually pursuing happiness. And this happiness is interesting. We need happiness to live right now. At the same time, we are also looking at happiness as our ultimate goal too, right? I was introduced as being a graduate of chemistry. So let me bring a small analogy from chemistry. It's like we're all systems of equilibrium, right? If I could use that word, we're all systems of equilibrium. And the interesting thing about these systems of equilibrium is that as we study in chemistry, and in fact, it's studied in many other fields, it's studied even in economics, the market is also studied in that manner, the surface tension is studied in that manner. Any system of equilibrium, when it is disturbed, when there is a constraint that is placed on the system and the equilibrium is disturbed, the system is always trying to go back to that state of equilibrium, right? So a system of equilibrium can be defined as being in equilibrium or as striving to go back to equilibrium. We all are systems of equilibrium. And there are any number of things that can disturb it because there are any number of things we give importance to. We give importance to the way we look. We give importance to what people think of us. We give importance to the promotions that we get, the positions that we hold in life, the kind of house we live in, the money that we make, the bank balance that we have, the credit worth, all of this. We give importance to all of this, which means we are attaching our equilibrium to all these factors. And if something goes wrong in any of this, our equilibrium can be disturbed. And when it gets disturbed, we are striving to get back to this equilibrium. And when we are striving to get back to this equilibrium, we turn to Swami to help us in this endeavor. There are two aspects when we talk about systems of equilibrium. One is the factors that disturb it. That's what I mentioned. The second one is how quickly we are able to get back to this equilibrium, how fast we can find our peace again. We'll remember these two factors, we'll come back to them. I said that we turn to Swami because we find a certain purpose for Swami in our life, right? That's how we begin this journey. But just like we see Swami having a certain purpose in our life, Swami too sees what his purpose is in our life. I'll repeat it again. Just like how we have a certain purpose for Swami in our life, Swami has an idea. I'm saying this, just imagine that Swami is also a person like you. Swami has an idea of what is his purpose in our life. Many times people ask this question, what is spiritual progress? How do you know that we are progressing spiritually? When our idea of Swami's purpose in our life grows and gets closer and closer to the idea that Swami has as his purpose in our life, I think we are progressing spiritually. And when these two ideas merge, that is when we probably have reached a certain maturity. I wouldn't say that that's still the final goal. In fact, Swami was telling this to one of the devotees when he was speaking to them. This was probably in the early 60s. Swami asked this devotee, what is it to be a devotee of Swami? And Swami went on to say, do you think it's wearing whites and wearing vibhuti and speaking in a certain manner? Do you think all that makes you a devotee? Do you think doing seva and singing bhajans, do you think all that makes you a devotee? Swami said, true devotion is when your thinking is in sync with my thinking. Right? This is what Swami said. True devotion is when your thinking is in sync with my thinking. I know this is only one of the many definitions of devotion that Swami has given. I think we speakers tend to do that. We pick up the definition that's suitable for the topic, right? Some time ago, I was speaking about friendship with Swami, and I had quoted another definition of devotion. Swami says that devotion is nothing but a relationship of friendship with a little bit of awe and respect, right? So that's a definition that Swami gives. A few months back, when I was talking to another group, I made use of another definition that Swami himself gives. That definition is when you are able to see sorrow and happiness as being the same. So Swami gives different definitions of devotion at various times, but if you really look at it, they all point to the same thing. They're not contradictory to one another. But for my talk today, I'm using this definition where Swami says that devotion is when your thinking is in sync with my thinking. So this is nothing but another statement that Swami would make. I will give you whatever you want till one day when you are ready to receive what I have come to give, right? That's a very famous statement that Swami makes. I am giving you what you want so that one day you're prepared to ask for what I have come to give. And that's precisely what we are speaking. We have a purpose for Swami, and Swami keeps fulfilling that purpose so that one day we will see Swami's true purpose in our life and we will seek that, right? Swami also went on to say, how do you achieve that? How do you bridge this gap between your idea and Swami's idea of Swami's purpose in our life? I will come to that. Maybe I'll just mention it. Swami says that bridging happens through pure selfless love. One of the days when Swami had come into Trai Vrindavan, Swami was talking to the students, and Swami made this statement. Very profound, very beautiful statement, but very deep, something that we all have to think about. Swami said, people come to me with problems in their life. I solve their problems, they are happy, they go. People come to me seeking wealth, seeking comfort, seeking success in life. I grant them what they want, they are happy, and they leave. Students come to me seeking education. I bestow them with education. They are happy. Then they come back to me. They want a job. I give them jobs which they want. They are happy. They leave. Parents come to me. They seek children. They seek progeny. Swami said, I bless them. They are happy and they leave. And then Swami said, who comes to me for me? Who comes to Swami for Swami? It's a very important thing because most of us, this is not to pass judgments on anyone, but most of us at some point when we have a craving, or as I said, when our equilibrium is disturbed and we want to get back to our peace, I think we should ask ourselves this question: are we seeking Swami, or are we seeking what Swami can give? It's not wrong to seek happiness in life. It is not wrong to seek pleasures in life. It is not wrong to seek a comfortable life, right? This is not to say that the moment you become devotees, you should want to renounce everything and you should be ready to become renunciants and sannyasis. No, it's not like that at all. In fact, there's this beautiful episode when one of the students tried to quote a verse from Bhajagovindam, right? He was speaking in Swami's presence, and again, this was in Thrai Vrindavan. And when he was trying to quote this particular verse from Bhajagovindam, the verse, if I'm not mistaken, goes Suramandira Tarumula Nivasaha Shayya Bhutala Majinam Vasaha. It goes on like that, and Sarva Bhoga Parityagaha, something like that. So the essence of that shloka is a person should go and live in the temple. He should not have any possessions. He should wear a deer skin. He should lie on the hard floor. He should give up all the comforts and pleasures of life, right? And when he started quoting this verse, Swami stopped him midway, and Swami said, "What are you quoting? What is it that you're saying?" And he said, "Swami, this is a this is a famous verse from Bhajagovindam." Swami said, "I know that, but this is not my message. I never ask my devotees to give up everything and become sannyasis, or give up everything and renounce worldly life." So Swami said, "Don't quote something that is not my message." Right? Swami was very clear, and Swami said, "What is the message? My message is hands in the society, heads in the forest. You should live and work in society. Your mind should be in forest." Right? So Swami said, "I never said that you should renounce everything." In fact, one of the earliest students of Swami, one of the students who was there in the early 70s, he was once telling that once after they had completed their education, Swami had called them for an interview. And this was something like a farewell interview, if you could call that. Swami had called all of them, and Swami was, it was a very beautiful interaction where if Swami was, it was like Swami was sending away his children, right? So Swami was constantly telling them, I will always be with you, be good boys, I'm always with you, never forget that, right? So in the course of that interaction, Swami told them that when you go out and when you take up jobs, these are Swami's words, right? Swami said, life baga enjoy cheyandi. Swami said, life ni baga enjoy cheyandi. Enjoy your life very well. Swami said, I'm not telling that don't buy this. In fact, there will always be Swami's humor with relation to marriage in all his instruction to boys of that age. So Swami also told them, enjoy your life very well. Don't get married too early, right? Swami said, take your time, enjoy life, and then you can get married. I'm not sending any messages to youngsters saying that delay your marriage or something, right? I'm just saying that what Swami said to that particular group of students. The point is, Swami was saying that I'm not against enjoyment, I'm not against comforts in life. Swami was only telling them, after saying this, Swami said, just ensure that you don't get into any bad habits, don't get into drinking, smoking. Swami said, because it spoils your health, right? There's a beautiful verse in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, among the many kamas, among the many desires, I am that desire that is not against dharma. Right? It's a very beautiful statement that Krishna makes. Among the kamas, dharma aviruddha. He says those desires that are not contradictory or not against righteousness. I am those desires. So Krishna says, I am those desires. So if you have desires in your mind, to fulfill them in a righteous manner, without transgressing dharma, without transgressing morality, there's nothing wrong in that. Pursuing those pleasures, pursuing those ambitions, without taking to the wrong means is acceptable, right? That's what Swami says. But when you pursue them, if you ask, before I come to that, right? When we say that we are all systems of equilibrium, right? Say I am a person, I have a family, I have a mother, I have a father, I have siblings. If I get married, I'll have a family of wife and children and all of them. Each one of this incident that happens in my life, progressively increases this or complicates this system of equilibrium. If I live by myself, only what disturbs me physically, or if I don't have enough wealth, if I don't have enough comfort, that's what is going to disturb my equilibrium. But the more I get people into this circle of my life, now their happiness, their comfort, that also becomes part of what disturbs my equilibrium, isn't it? If my child is not well, I cannot be at peace. If if my wife is not well, I cannot be at peace. If my mother is unwell, I cannot be at peace. It disturbs me, right? So all of this will start complicating this system of equilibrium. But when you come to Swami, right, and for whatever reason, we've all come to Swami. I came to Swami purely for education, right? I've tagged along. Swami is grace. Swami has allowed me to do that. But I came to Swami because I thought Swami is giving good education. But when you come to Swami, and what Swami does is, he gives us the opportunity to draw Swami inside this circle of ours. So now, my equilibrium also depends on what Swami likes and what Swami doesn't like, isn't it? So when I'm pursuing my own happiness, when I'm pursuing my comforts in life, automatically I will also have to accommodate what Swami likes, what Swami doesn't like. So automatically morality in life will come, isn't it? Automatically what Krishna was saying, that I am desire that is not opposed to dharma, that becomes so natural. Because now I cannot displease Swami and be at peace with myself. So options such as taking revenge against somebody, cheating somebody, or grabbing from somebody, or taking something that does not belong to me, or becoming greedy, accepting gifts, all of these go out of the picture now. Because if I am going to bring Swami into this circle of my life, if I do something which I know is not liked by Swami, I cannot be at peace with myself, right? So, in a very unassuming way, Swami has come into this circle of our life, and he has made our pursuit of happiness more righteous. So, there's nothing wrong in pursuing Sukha, right? That's what we've established for now. But even in this, there is no guarantee that you will get happiness. You can pursue happiness. There's nothing wrong in pursuing happiness. That's all has been said. There is no guarantee that happiness will come to you. That's why famously in the American Constitution, when they say that what are the rights that the Constitution is going to guarantee, it says, I think, liberty, equality, and the pursuit of happiness. It doesn't say the Constitution can guarantee you happiness. It only guarantees pursuit of happiness. Similarly, life can only guarantee you pursuit of happiness. It can never guarantee you happiness, isn't it? So, in a righteous manner, I can have goals for myself, I can have ambitions for myself, I can pursue them in a righteous manner, but still, there is no guarantee that it will give me happiness. There are two reasons why there is no guarantee. One, Swami says, the same things that can give you happiness can also take away happiness from you. The same pleasures that make you happy when they come to you, Swami says, will make you sad when they leave. The same success, fame, name that makes you happy and delighted when they come to you, when they leave, they make you sad. So Swami says the same object is carrying with it the ability to make you happy and to make you sad. That is one point. Once in the interview, Swami was talking to one youngster, and in the interview, along with that youngster, there was also a couple. The couple, both of them were doctors, the husband and wife, they too were doctors. And in the interview, they were very emotional, and they were crying and they were shedding tears. So this youngster didn't know why these people were crying, whether it was tears of happiness or tears of joy. I'm sorry, tears of sorrow. Then Swami was talking something to them, and all of a sudden, Swami turned to this youngster, and Swami told, Do you know why these people are crying? So then Swami said, 25 years back, they came to me. I performed their wedding. Both of them are doctors. And then Swami said, after that, they came to me and they said, Swami, we want a son. We want a child. So Swami said, why do you want a child? Why don't you take Swami as your child? Right? See, how many people would get that offer from Swami, to hear it from Swami's own words, Swami's own mouth? Swami said, why don't you accept me as your child? Why do you need another child? So they said, Swami, you are like mother and father to us, but we would like to have a child. For some reason, Swami was discouraging this couple from this desire of having a child. So Swami said, no, why do you need to have a child? And it's an unnecessary desire. This couple said, Swami, we are doctors and we have a maternity clinic, right? We both run a maternity clinic, and it would be very odd that if we do not have children of our own. So they pestered Swami and they kind of pleaded with Swami, Swami, please give us a child, please give us a child. So Swami was telling this youngster in the interview, so since they asked me so much, I blessed them. Swami said, okay, you will have a son. So Swami says they went back, they had a son, the son grew up, he went to college, he studied well. And Swami is saying that 25 years later, these people have come back to me. Now what has happened? The son has got married and the son has left the parents and he's gone away with his wife. So this mother and father have now come crying to me. So Swami was telling this youngster, see, doesn't it occur to you that the same son whom you thought is going to bring happiness to you, and he did bring happiness, it's not that he did not bring, the same relationship that brought happiness also took away that happiness, right? So Swami said that this is the nature of world. Everything in this world can give you happiness and it can give you sorrow too. So the moment you pursue any happiness in your life, the moment you pursue anything in your life that is material, that is worldly, be sure, be certain that you're also signing up for disappointments and sorrow, right? So that's one point why the happiness is never guaranteed. The second point, which is actually a continuation or an extension of the first point, as Swami would say, the world is limited, but you are looking for unlimited happiness from a limited world. How could that ever possibly be? Right? Swami would say this world is anityam. If we really examine the happiness that we are all going after, we will realize that it's actually not merely happiness, but we want happiness to last. We want happiness and we want to secure that happiness. We want happiness and we want that happiness to remain for a certain amount of time at least. And in fact, we want it to remain eternally. We want to be systems of equilibrium and we don't want to be disturbed. But the fact is, Swami says, this world is limited. It is impossible for the world to give you unlimited happiness, given that the world is limited. There's a very famous quote that I read by a journalist. He says that if you're looking for unlimited resources from a limited pool, you should either be crazy or you should be an economist. With due respect to all the economists who are listening to this. So in that sense, we are all trying to draw out unlimited happiness and unlimited resource from a limited pool. The world is limited, right? So searching for happiness in this world and constantly trying to avoid sorrow is an absolutely futile exercise. Just humor me for a little while when I give you this analogy. Imagine that you are on a boat, you are in the middle of the ocean, and you are trying to get to the shore. Being in the middle of the waters, if you are going to say, I don't want waves to rock my boat, is that a feasible desire or a goal to have? If you're going to say that, no, I don't want my boat to be rocked, I don't want to be thrown up and down by the waves, I don't want waves at all. I want only calm waters. You could probably maneuver yourself and go to calm waters, but how long will the waters remain calm? At some point, there's going to be a tempest. The tempest is going to rock your boat, isn't it? At some point, there's going to be trouble coming your way. It is futile to be in the middle of an ocean and make a desire or have a desire that I don't want waves to rock my boat. And it's even worse because in that middle of that ocean, if you're constantly trying only to move in search of calm waters, there is no way you're going to reach the shore. You're going to be going around and around and around the same ocean, isn't it? But what we must actually do is we must fix the destination. We must fix our mind on getting to the shore and find a way by which we are able to put up with the ups and downs of life. We have to find a way by which we are able to deal with the waves in this life. And in fact, that is what Swami says in the very, very first message that he gave to all mankind. Swami said, Manasa bhajare guru charanam dustara bhavasagara taranam. He said, your goal should be to cross this ocean of bhavasagara, the ocean of delusion. And for that, you should turn to God. Don't turn to God. That's what we all are doing. We are all turning to God. We are all turning to Swami saying, Swami, I don't want any rough waters. Swami, I don't want any tempests in my way. I don't want to be thrown up and down by the ocean. Swami says, instead, turn to Swami and ask Swami that I want to reach the destination. Teach me how to deal with these ups and downs in life. Right? So that's the right prayer to make. So one of the things that we probably have to learn in the process, and I'm sure most of you know this already, and let this merely be a reminder. Even as I'm reminding myself, I'm sharing it with all of you. Let it serve as a reminder to all of us. So in this process of life, we will constantly have desires. I mean, till there is the mind, we're going to have desires. I think it's going to take a long time before we can say that I'm desire free. So till there are desires, and all these desires are indication that we are thinking only if I have this, I can be in equilibrium. So when we turn to Swami and we say, Swami, I want this. Swami, only if this event happens, I can be happy. Can we also place it in front of Swami and say, Swami, I want this, but it is up to you. And when we do that, Swami's denials and Swami's delays will be embraced by us, isn't it? We will accept both. We will accept everything. If pain comes away, we will accept it, isn't it? Because the fact is, we never know how Swami's grace comes to us. We are not wise enough to understand uh, how Swami's grace comes to us. There was this student whom we were speaking to. The student was studied in Swami's Vrindavan campus in the 80s and 90s, if I'm not wrong. So he had a particular health condition when he became a student of Swami. He used to constantly have a breathing problem. He used to get a severe headache. He didn't know what it was. He thought that probably he was having some allergies, and because of the allergy, he was constantly having cold. That cold was leading to a headache. So he came to Swami, and he was actually one of those students who was not a devotee of Swami, and he was kind of observing Swami very keenly to understand who Swami really is. He did not instantly prescribe to the idea that Swami was God or was an avatar or anything like that. So he thought to himself that, Swami cures so many people. Why don't I ask Swami for a cure? So he went up to Swami one day and he said, Swami, I keep having these allergies uh, and I keep having enormous headache. I'm not able to study. I'm not able to participate in sports. So can you please help me? And Swami looked at him and Swami said, Allergia. And Swami patted him like that and Swami said, Allergy ledu, em ledu. You don't have energy, Swami said. Just a play of words. And Swami patted him and that was the end of it. Then one other day when he was sitting next to Swami, Swami looks at him and Swami says, "How are you?" So he said, "Swami, I'm fine." So Swami said, "What are you fine? I don't think you're fine." And Swami pulled his nose, right, like this. With his two fingers, Swami held his nose and pulled it. And Swami said, "You'll be fine. Don't worry." But even that didn't change anything. He still had the headache. Then one other day, he was sitting in front of Swami, and Swami asked him, "Hey, how's your headache now? You said that you have your headaches. How is it now?" So he said, "Swami, it's fine, Swami. It's still there, but it's okay." Swami has said that it'll be fine, so I'm sure it'll be fine. So Swami said, "Yes, it's still there." Swami said, "I will give you a medicine." And Swami waved his hand, and Swami materialized a box of tablets. And Swami opened that, and Swami gave him one tablet. And Swami said, "You keep this box with you and eat 2 tablets every day." So that was another instruction that he gave. So I think with that, I think after he started taking those tablets, his headache reduced, and then it was over. And much later, after he had graduated, he realized that all the symptoms that he had pointed towards a very severe sinusitis. Right? He had problem with the sinus, and that was the pain that was troubling him. And so anyway, that was dealt with. One day, it so happened that this boy was sitting in front of Swami. And for those of you who know the setup in Trai, it's one of the most beautiful experiences for a student. Swami would have absolutely no place even to keep his feet. That's how crowded the jula around the jula room would be. People would be sitting all around Swami, and Swami would be so beautiful, so sweet, and so kind that he would even push his footstool under the jula, and Swami would use the laps of the students who are sitting there as the footstool. Right, so there's absolutely no space. Swami would be sitting like that. And when Swami would give a discourse, Swami would stand right there. So boys would just make enough space for Swami to put his 2 feet, and Swami would stand there and give a discourse. So this boy was sitting right in front one particular day, and Swami got up to give a discourse, and he was doing Padaseva for Swami. He was pressing Swami's feet. It so happened that Swami's feet were like this, and at one point, Swami just raised one of his feet like this. And this boy who was pressing Swami's feet, his hand happened to slip under Swami's feet. So a few fingers went under Swami's feet. And the moment his hand slipped under Swami's feet, Swami began stamping on his fingers. So first Swami stamped a little, and there was excruciating pain. But this boy didn't say anything because the hall was packed, everybody was around, and Swami was giving a discourse. You can't squeal at that time. And slowly Swami started putting more and more pressure, and the pain began to be unbearable, right? And it went on for a few minutes. And this boy was saying that with every passing second, he just could not take it. The pain was enormous. And he looked around. Everybody was lost in Swami's discourse. Everybody was looking up to Swami, and he could not concentrate on Swami's discourse. This pain was unbearable. And after a few minutes, he thought that this is it. He can't take any more. And he was just about to scream his lungs out, and he just wanted to scream. At that moment, Swami just lifted his feet and released his fingers. There was no reason. Swami didn't say anything. Swami didn't tell him anything. You might ask, why would Swami put a boy through such pain? Right? It was not even mischief. And if Swami did it for a few seconds, it's mischief. Why would Swami do this? And he was saying that the pain was real. Swami was really pressing hard on his hands, and he was just short of shouting at the top of his voice. So this happened when he was a student. Many years later, he graduated, he became a professional. He was once traveling in a train. And when he was going in the train, he was in an AC compartment. There was another passenger next to him. And that person looked very knowledgeable. He was reading some books. And this student started having a conversation with this person. He started talking to him, and he started saying that, what have you, what do you work for, and what are you up to? So it turned out that he was a doctor of alternate medicine, and he's doing research into acupuncture, acupressure, and some other alternative medicines. So this person struck a conversation with him, and he asked him, does these things really work? Acupressure and acupuncture and all of that. Is there really proof that it works? So this person started saying, yeah, it really works, and it depends on how people practice it and all of that. And he said, let me show. And he held this student's hand, he held his fingers and just gave it a small press in a certain way, right? In a certain place, in a certain way, he gave a press. And this boy just shouted. It was enormous pain again. He shouted so much that the person in the next cabin came running to see what happened. So he looked at this man and said, why did you press me so hard? It hurt. And then that person, that doctor said, so see, this is one of the techniques that we use in acupressure. And he said, if you press like this for an extended period of time, and if this pain is borne for an extended period of time, this can cure sinusitis permanently. So this boy was hearing many years after that experience of him putting his finger under Swami's feet. So after narrating this episode, he asked us, so what cured me? Was it the word that Swami said the first time that nothing is wrong with you, you'll be fine? Or was it Swami pulling his nose with his two fingers? Or was it Swami giving him that tablet? Or was Swami putting him through that pain? We never know. And we will never know. But one thing we can always be certain of, that if Swami puts us through some pain, it can only be for our good, right? I think that we can all be certain of. Do you think Swami would have done that to a boy just because he got some sadistic pleasure out of it? It certainly had some purpose for him, right? Isn't it the case? I think any of us could agree to that. In the same manner, never we will be put through any pain by Swami if that pain is not to serve some purpose in our life. And this is what happens when we include Swami in our circle of life and when we pray to Swami. There's this other very beautiful episode that another student had narrated. Can I take about 10-15 minutes more? Is that all right? Okay, there's silence. I'll take that as an yes, and I'll continue.
Yes.
So there was this, yeah, thank you. So there was this other student whom one day Swami called 3 or 4 of these students. There was this elderly devotee whom Swami used to take care of, and there were students who were assigned to serve that devotee. I'll not go into that. So Swami called the 3 boys who were taking care of this devotee, and Swami wanted to give them a gift. Swami said, you've done your duty very well. I'm very happy with you. So Swami gave them all, what do you call that, safari clothes, right? Material, dress material that could be stitched into safari clothes. So Swami gave 3 bags to these boys, and Swami said, I'm very pleased with you, so I'm going to give you this gift. So these boys go back to the hostel, and they realize that 2 boys got material which was 3 meters long, and one of the boys had got a material that was only 2.5 meters. So he made a quick calculation of the previous times when he had got clothes stitched for him, and he realized that 2.5 meters is not sufficient for him. So he felt a little disappointed. He said, how can Swami give me what is less? And he said, why should Swami do, be so miserly? Half a meter, what is there? Why can't Swami give me enough so that I can get a proper dress stitched for myself? Nevertheless, he said, okay, I'll take it home and probably I'll give it to a tailor who can find matching cloth and he can make up for what is missing. So he puts away his clothes. The next day when they go for a Trai session, Swami comes up to them and Swami gives each one of them 300 rupees. Right? Swami puts it in their pocket and Swami says, stitching charges for the dress I gave you yesterday. And then Swami said, get the dress, get your safaris stitched and wear it and come tomorrow for Trai session. right? So Swami said, 24 hours, I want you to get it stitched and I want you to come. So this boy's plan of getting it stitched at home and having enough to make up for what is missing was down in the dumps. He couldn't do that now. So that very evening, they went to a tailor. They took the material and they gave it to the tailor, and they said that Swami has said that he wants us to wear this by evening tomorrow. And this tailor said, of course, if Swami has said it, I will do anything for that. I will ensure that I sit the whole night and I get it stitched. So that was done. And this boy went up to the tailor and he said, make sure that you stitch my dress carefully because there's only 2.5 meters. So if there is anything less, you might have to take it from the other two guys. So whatever material they have, you'll have to take it from them. So the tailor said, don't worry, sir, I will ensure that you have enough. And he took the measurements and everything was done. So the next morning, next afternoon, they go to pick up their dresses. The first thing the tailor tells this boy who got this material which was shorter, he tells him, sir, everything was fine. Only thing is I had to take some material from your cloth and use for them because it was less for them. This boy was surprised. He said, I told you specifically that I am the one who got the shorter material. And you're saying that you've taken from me and you've stitched it for them. And I don't know what you've stitched for me, what was left for me. So the tailor said, no, sir, it was enough because I stitched yours first and then I stitched the others. So I found that theirs needed more, so I took from yours, what was left of yours. This boy takes the material and then takes the dress and goes back to his room. And he's wondering, what is this fellow stitched now? By any chance, has he stitched a short pant for me? How did he manage to stitch a pair with whatever was left? And when he tries his dress on, when he puts it on, he realizes it not only is sufficiently fitting him, his pant was actually loose. In fact, there was more than enough for him to get a pair stitched, and there was more than enough to spare for the others too. So he was very repentant. He said, oh God, it was wrong on my part to think like this, that Swami has given me something that is less. So he wears the dress, all three of them wear their new clothes, and they went to Thrai, and Swami comes, and Swami is always happy to see if you're wearing a gift that he has given you. So Swami came up to these boys and Swami said, it is very nice. And then Swami looked at this boy and specifically Swami said, very profound, he said, these are words I will always remember. Swami said, Swami edi ichina yekvera. Swami told him in Telugu, whatever Swami gives, remember that it will always be sufficient. It is always more. Yakku, epume yakku, Swami said, epudu ekku. Which means that whatever Swami gives, in your opinion, it might appear like Swami has given me less. Swami has given me less than others. Swami has not given me this. Remember that whatever Swami gives, it is always sufficient, right? And to prove that and to drive this lesson home, Swami made what he gave to the other two boys less, right? That's the beauty of the whole thing. But this is a message that we always have to remember. The world might think that we have less. The world might think that we are leading lives that are not sufficiently luxurious. But as devotees, we must always remember whatever Swami gives, whatever Swami chooses as our lot is sufficient for us, is more than sufficient for us. I would like to end with a final thought and a final episode. I said that there are two factors when you talk about we being systems of equilibrium, and one of them was how quickly we are able to return to our equilibrium. If something happens in our life and something disturbs me, how quickly I'm able to find my ground again, right? This is something again that improves. If you're asking, am I growing spiritually? This is something that again improves the way we get back to our peace. There's this very beautiful and very profound episode that I heard shared by one devotee of Swami. I don't know what is the post that she holds now, but she was, I think she still is, the Sevadal coordinator for the states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Devotees who came to Swami probably 3 or 4 decades ago, very close to Swami. The husband was very busy in Swami's work and activity. She was a Sevadal and she was very busy in activities of Swami. I think she had 3 children. One son and one daughter were Swami students. A very beautiful family, serving Swami, very, very devoted to Swami. On one occasion, it so happened that the elder daughter was about to get married. They got a good alliance for the elder daughter, and the family was very happy. The family wanted to come and thank Swami for this grace of finding a good groom for their daughter. So they decided that they will all come to Puttaparthi. Swami was there in Prasanthi Nilayam then. It was the time of Ugadi, the festival of Ugadi. So they decided to drive down and take Swami's blessings and offer their gratitude to Swami. So this entire family, the husband, the wife, the 2 daughters, and the son, and a few other members of the family, I think the brother-in-law or somebody like that, they all come together in 2 cars. They are driving towards they're driving towards Puttaparthi. At one point, one of the cars in which the 2 daughters are goes ahead. The car in which she, her husband, and her son is traveling meets with a terrible accident. A bus comes in at high speed, rams into the car, and she falls unconscious completely. In that accident, except her, the 4 others in the car all passed away right in the spot itself, which means her husband, her son, and her brother-in-law, and I think someone else was there in the car. She was the only one who survived in that crash, and she was unconscious. She was unconscious for 3 days, and she had fractures in both her hands and in both her legs. So it was in that state that she was taken to a hospital. For 3 days, she had no idea of what was happening. And when she became conscious, the children decided not to inform her about the death of the others in the family. So they told the doctors, please don't tell her about the accident. Please don't tell her what has happened. And the doctor said, but she needs to know. So they said, no, we are going to take her to Puttaparthi. Let Swami tell her. We are going to take her to Swami and let Swami tell her. The doctor said, are you gone mad? She's in no shape to travel. She's not going to be able to make a journey like that. And they pleaded with the doctor and they said, no, please, don't reveal anything to her. So she was completely kept in the dark. After a few days, they decide to go to Vrindavan where Swami is. They take this lady. You can imagine how she must have been. It's almost like on a stretcher, 2 hands and 2 legs fractured. They take her to Vrindavan. The first day Swami comes and Swami gives a very beautiful smile and Swami asks, how are you? Are you fine? And she's saying that, what is Swami smiling like this? And anybody who looks at me can muse how bad my shape is, can understand how really I'm suffering. And Swami is coming and giving a beautiful smile and walking off like this. And Swami goes away and she says, Swami, please talk to me. I would like to talk to you. Swami said, I will call you. So after a couple of days, Swami calls her. And Swami calls her inside the interview room where she and the daughters are there. And Swami materializes Vibhuti and Swami applies all over her hand. Swami applies on her head and all of that. And she's constantly crying and crying and crying. And Swami is saying, no, Bangaru, don't cry. Swami doesn't like his devotees to cry. So don't cry. So then she said, Swami, please give me some Vibhuti for my husband and my son also. They are in the ICU. So when she says this, Swami immediately looks at the daughters, right? Till now, Swami has not been physically informed about the accident. Swami has not himself spoken about the accident. So Swami looks at the daughters and Swami, with his eyes, he gestures, is that what you have told her? And they also nod, they're saying that Swami, that's what you have told her. So Swami looks at her and Swami pats her head and Swami said, Bangaru, they are no more. They're not in the ICU. They've passed away. Imagine the plight of that lady. She's in physical pain. And in the interview room, Swami, whom you turn to when you are in crisis, he's the Swami that you pray to when you're in trouble. And I'm sure they would have called out to Swami even in the moment of that accident. To hear from Swami himself that your husband and son have passed away in the accident, she started wailing. She said, Swami, you've cheated us. Swami, mosam chesadu. Swami, mosam chesao. Swami, nannu mosam chesao. She cried out. She said, Swami, you've cheated me. You've cheated me. I've trusted you all my life. You've cheated me. Swami consoled her. Swami patted her on her head, and constantly Swami said, okay, past is past. Let's not talk about it. What had to happen has happened. Swami said, now go on with your daughter's wedding. Let that luggage also be got rid of. Swami said, less luggage, more comfort. Finish that also. And she was thinking, what is this Swami doing? I'm in such horrible pain, both physically and emotionally. I've lost my husband, I've lost my son, young son. And here Swami is talking about my daughter's marriage. But that's how Swami was. Swami said, no, go get ready, finish all this, you'll be fine. So she said, Swami, why didn't you take me in the accident? You took my husband, you took my son, you could have taken me also. Swami said, don't say all of that. Swami said, go, get well, and get back to your service. These were Swami's words. It's very difficult to understand Swami's compassion, isn't it? So Swami said, go back, get ready, get well, finish your daughter's wedding, and get back to Swami's service. She goes back, and within 6 months, she returns to her Sevadal service. And now she says she's absolutely calm about that incident. She says that for whatever reason, their time was over. Swami has done it. Swami has removed all my commitments. Till that point, I served my family. Now Swami has given me a new life to serve him and him alone. Can you imagine somebody getting back to their feet, getting back to their equilibrium after an incident like this? And that comes only with Swami's grace, and that comes only when you have turned to Swami and you have accepted Swami's, whatever Swami chooses to give in our life as acceptable, isn't it? There are these very beautiful lines of Khalil Gibran where he says, when you choose to love, when you choose to accept love, you have to choose the ups and downs of love. And he says, if in your fear, if you choose only love's pleasures and love's peace, better it is for you to cover yourself and pass out of love's threshing fold. If you, out of your weakness, seek only love's peace and love's pleasure, it is better that you cover your nakedness and pass out of love's threshing floor. But you will pass out into this seasonless world where you shall laugh, but not all your laughter. You shall cry, but not all your tears. Very beautifully, he says, yes, you can go on chasing pleasures in your life, but there will be no fulfillment in life. You will laugh, but not all your laughter. You will cry, but not all your tears, meaning there will be no fulfillment in life, right? And this is the journey that we all are in the middle of. We have an idea of what Swami is meant to be in our life. There is an idea of that Swami has what is his role in our life, and that is where we're trying to get. There's this very beautiful episode of this devotee who from United States, Mr. James Sinclair. This was shared by one of my juniors who was in the same interview. Swami had called him for an interview, and Swami had called even James Sinclair. And the occasion of that interview was Mrs. Sinclair was traveling to Puttaparthi, and her car met with an accident and she passed away. James Sinclair had come to do the necessary rites for her. And Swami had called him for an interview, right, when he was here for that. And James Sinclair was absolutely calm. There was not even a iota of disturbance in his countenance. Swami looks at Sinclair and Swami asks him, Sinclair, what do you want? What do you want? And this devotee, he puts his hand together, so he looks at Swami straight and says, with an emotionless voice, he says, Swami, I want what you want for me. He says, I want what you want for me. And Swami looked at this friend of mine and Swami said, that is the prayer. That is the devotion. Right? So at one point we will say, what is Swami's purpose in my life? It should be that purpose that Swami has assigned for himself in my life. And if that entitles me to go through ups and downs in life, I'm ready for the roller coaster ride, right? That is what should be our prayer to Swami. And if we do that, in the process, what Swami makes is, Swami is not a sadist. Swami is not going to put us through pain so that we suffer and we cry and we have that pain. In this process, Swami is snapping all of these ties that we have for ourselves, thinking that only if this happens, I can be happy. Only if I get this, I can be happy. Swami is putting us through a process where he shows us that we can be happy independent of all of these factors. We don't have to worry about all of this because by reality, in nature, we are all perfect systems of equilibrium. And Swami is here to prove us that. As in one of the Upanishads say, as long as you are you, as long as we are this personality, what we are right now, we will always be unhappy. Because by nature, we are dukhi. By nature, we are sad people. Unless we come out of this idea and we look at ourselves as Ananda Swarupas, those who are by nature bliss, we will always be unhappy, right? So in this journey, I think that is where Swami is leading all of us to. You have so beautifully titled this series as Sai Karuna. See, when we talk about compassion of Swami, it is not like your compassion and my compassion. Swami's compassion is supreme. And Swami's compassion is not merely to problems that we are in or give peace to soothe our pain when we feel it. Yes, Swami will do that. Swami does do that. I mean, does it to us all the time. But his compassion lies in the fact that he wants to raise us to that level that he is. Swami says, Ananda is my Swarupa. Shanti is my Swabhava. That is the nature that Swami is trying to raise all of us to, right? And that is where his compassion is. And that's why, like one of my friends so beautifully coined this term, Swami's compassion is ruthless compassion. Swami's Karuna is ruthless, which means sometimes, like that student, we put our hand to touch his feet to take Pad Namaskar, but it looks like Swami is going to stamp on it and put us through enormous pain, and we will be wondering, Swami, I was actually taking Pad Namaskar, and you become the source of my pain. If he puts us through pain, it can only mean that it is going to take us to that state where no pain can disturb us, no sorrow can disturb us, and that is his greatest compassion. So these were the thoughts I wanted to share with all of you. Thank you very much for your patient listening. I know I've taken a lot more time than was assigned to me. I think I got a little bit carried away. Thank you all for your very, very patient listening. I most humbly offer this at Swami's Lotus Feet.
Sairam, Brother Prem, thank you so much for those poignant and wonderful insights. They were so deep. I've written so many notes myself. You touched upon the concept of fear and how we shouldn't give in to that fear, and how fortunate we are in this time that we are cocooned so that we can have transformation whilst we are always pondering and sharpening our devotion to Swami as well. We have this amazing opportunity, and that's how we should view this time at the moment. And I love this beautiful analogy that you spoke about, the equilibrium. And all I had in my mind while you were speaking about this equilibrium was actually the equilibrium sign and the push and the pull and the external factors of the world that impact us. And you so beautifully put that into a visual concept for us to understand. And it's something that we can apply in our lives. Additionally, you spoke about having our hands in society and our head in the forest. And again, at this particular time, this is such a wonderful way for us to think about this. You also spoke about how we should serve him and him alone, and how Swami will take away all of those external aspects so that we can only focus on him and only serve him. And once again, you beautifully touched upon the concept of surrender and how we must always surrender ourselves to Swami, every single thought, every single action to Swami. And by just saying the mantra, I want what you want for me. So beautifully said. Thank you so much, Sai Ram.